Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Different Beat.
I'm Elizabeth.
I'm Tim.
I did not expect that intro.
I know, neither did I. All right, so today we're going to be talking about what to some people is an extremely divisive game, and I'm kind of looking forward to, but at the same time dreading this review. We're going to be covering Destiny. That's right, Destiny.
The magnum opus from Bungie since their departure.
The next generation of massively multiplayer games.
The game that would redefine the shooting genre.
Oh, redefine? Oh, it would reinvent. It would re-inspire. Destiny was going to change the lives of gamers across the world.
To be fair, while we are being facetious, yes,
I know.
It's true that it did not live up to hype, but we're not only trying to make fun of Destiny. We're not only trying to, flick.
Well, in the name of having a fair review, we have to talk about the good parts too.
And it's true, but what I'm going with this is, it's not just other people. Our very own Tim Buchanan here actually was a diehard of Destiny, and he sold this game to anyone and everyone. In fact, I'm not a Bungie fan. I'm not a Halo fan. He talked me into buying the $90 version of this game.
She shouldn't even be allowed to review games if she doesn't like Halo, but whatever.
That may be true to some degree, but my point is, he was so sure this would change our lives. He convinced me to spend $90 on a game I did not want and be there at launch.
Oh, yeah.
To play this as a group with him.
Okay, so picture this. I'm going to take you guys on a journey back in time to where you can get to know a little bit more about me, or the person I used to be at least. So imagine, here we are. We're at E3 2013. We hear about Destiny. We see the first concepts made by Bungie, their newest endeavor since Halo, and I am a diehard Halo fan since day one. I love Halo. All about it. So, I am already losing my mind. Yes, that is true. That is correct. Anyway, so I am already on board for this. And then the more information that comes, when we talk about the massively multiplayer, the being able to play online with X amount of people to do these raids and this MMO content. And I like MMOs. I like good MMOs. I was a big fan of Rift. Beth talked me into trying WoW after, during the last expansion, Mr. Pandaria. I had never played WoW before. Really got into it, did some raiding, got a capped character. It was great. Even went back for Worlds of Draenor for a while. But anyway, I digress. So I like MMOs. I like good MMOs. I like the whole MMO mechanic. I like dungeons. I like loot, I like epic loot. So I was like, wait a minute. You're going to take an FPS by the same people who created Halo, and you're going to make an outer space science fiction MMO out of it? If that were the devil, I would have sold my soul. That's what I'm saying. I was on board for Destiny. So then on top of it, when they finally go ahead and announce a release date for it, it's on my birthday, and I'm like, this is meant to be.
This is true.
September 9th. This is going to happen. This game was made for me. This game was like the universe saying, Tim haveth this incredible package, and me being like, oh, thank you, gods of gaming, because my life is forever changed and I am grateful. So
this is all actually true.
Yes. I know it sounds like I'm really illustrating this, but it's not far from the truth. I talked Beth into purchasing it because Beth wasn't going to get it, but I wanted friends to play with. So I was like, I talked to my other friend Ray into getting it. I was talking it up to all my other friends. I was like, guys, Destiny. That's where we're going to be in September. That's where we're going to be for the next 7 years. I was already sold to playing this game for the long haul.
Yeah, he was so sure because he knew Bungie's track record, and he came up to me, he's like, Beth, you're a hardcore raider. I'm like, yes. He's like, you do the hardest raids and the hardest modes in World of Warcraft. I'm like, yes, I do. And he's like, I don't even think you can do this. You can't raid this.
You made it sound like I challenged you.
It almost was.
Oh my God, I don't think I did that.
It was almost like that. He's like, the raid content, Bungie, they will master this. They will have what might be the best raid content ever. It's going to be in this game. I want you to experience it with me. So he was pushing the raid content hard because I'm a hardcore raider. And when I mean hardcore raider, I raid and I don't tolerate bullshit. I don't tolerate that. Well, we died twice, I'm kind of done. It's like, no, you're in there for the long haul. You're in there to beat the boss. You're in there to get the loot. And so he knew this was going to be the one angle, the one avenue he could win me over with it. And he kept pushing, and I caved. It's like, okay, I don't like FPS, I don't like Bungie, but I'm a raider. I'm in. Yeah. And so I dropped a full $90 on the digital deluxe edition so I could be there day one with him. I had to put that out there because we're getting up to launch in his story.
Oh, yeah. So, launch time. Game installs. I am in Destiny. Now, I had played the beta, so it wasn't like I had no idea what I was getting into. Build my character. Titan class. I'm going to tank the shit out of everything in this game. That's how I'm going to do it, because that's what I do. I tank. When I MMO, I tank. That's just what I like to do. So, here we are. We're in Destiny. At first, things are beautiful. And because I'm so in love, I'm already ignoring the blatantly criminally bad things about this game. So, here we go. Now, what I'm going to do first, I'm going to sort of paint this from the positive and then the realistic. Okay, so you get into Destiny. Sci-fi world. Boom, I love sci-fi. Shooter, I love shooter. Fun weapons that are cool to use, I like. Actual handguns, hand cannons that feel powerful, I love that. I love hand cannons and like any.
Not a hard line.
No. So, hand cannons that feel powerful. All the weapons feel well-rounded. It feels like there's a tool for every job. It feels well-balanced. The gameplay, the enemy types, we're discovering new enemies. Some of the more powerful ones have, weak points. Kind of tropey a little bit, but, it worked. It worked. Plus, up to 6 people, up to 3 people in a fire. How many people's in a fire team?
It was up to 3 people in a dungeon, a fire team, a regular right. dungeon, and then 6 in a raid.
That's right. So 3 people, all right? So, get your 2 best buddies. You can explore these planets together. You get on your sparrows. You fly around. You find rare items, some treasure chests here and there. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Okay, now let's switch over to realistic for a second. The things that I was too in love to notice were criminally broken about Destiny. First and foremost, the load screens. Now, I know we've talked about load problems before in other games, especially like Bloodborne, but hear me out. When you have to sit through 2 load screens minimum to do anything, that's problematic. I was willing to forgive it, So first thing you want to do, you want to go to the Crucible. You want to get a bounty. You want to go do your bounties because, man, you need that sweet XP. That's what you need. But you got the craving for it.
But you don't load into the Crucible.
No,
you load into your ship. So then you have to load from your ship to the Crucible.
And you have to get the bounty. So you're literally on the Crucible for like 40 seconds.
To the bounty. You actually have to go back to the ship and then to the bounty. So in actuality, to do anything remotely gameplay, you hit 3 load screens. Back to back to back.
And these load screens are pretty vicious too. I mean, anyone who's played Destiny knows that these load screens can range anywhere from 25 to 45 seconds. That's not exaggerating. So when you think about the actual amount of time when you first start the game, so you load into the game, you turn it on, you log in, you collect your character, boom, you're in your spaceship. Now to actually get to the gameplay, so when you're in the Crucible, to go and get a bounty is like what? 20 seconds?
Maybe.
You load in, run up to the board. Yeah, I want that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, abandon that one. Okay, port to ship. Poof. That was all the gameplay you get to experience for 3 minutes into the game. So then you finally get to the world, all right? Now, this is where we go back to the fun part again. So I was willing to ignore, the insane load times because I was like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This is going to be incredible. So, and we did. For a long time, we had a lot of fun playing the game together. I mean, I say a lot of fun. Beth did a good job of acting if she wasn't having fun. I know my buddy Ray was having fun. I know my other friends that I game with, Mike, Christian, Scott, Alex, all of them were having fun. But, the thing is that fun lasts only so long. And what I mean by that is that you get to the end of the game, or the end of the story, which is actually really short. Really short. Like 6 hours if you're not rushing. Really short. So you get to the end of the story, which is not even very good. So again, we're going to sort of remove her back into realistic. My first sort of hint that Destiny wasn't going to live up to everything I had hoped it would be was when I got to the end of the story.
Oh, see, it didn't even last that long for me. I'll tell you mine.
I got to the end of the story. Incredibly underwhelming. Incredibly underwhelming. And your reward for beating this game is a cutscene that means nothing. This robot giving you a gun that's just way weaker than any gun you have by that point. So why would you even use that thing? And then, and every MMO is guilty of this, it's sort of that endgame wall you hit. Well, now you've done everything, so now it's just up to you to entertain yourself given the stuff you've been given. You know, and but the thing is other MMOs have a lot of extra content. Their worlds are massive. Those worlds are big enough to explore, so you can burn a lot of hours exploring nooks and crannies, finding rare monsters, etc., etc. The problem with Destiny is it lacks any of that. You get to the end of the story, you have literally seen everything that game has to offer. The only thing left for you to do is a raid, which wasn't even available at launch, it came out later, and bounties. But the thing about the bounties is they don't take you to new, far vistas. They are essentially the same 24 bounties that are on repeat over and over and over again. So after you've even done your bounties for about a week, you're starting to realize that now you're doing the same bounties again, going back to the same worlds, killing the exact same group of enemies, the exact same vistas, the exact same mechanics over and over again. This is where the love started to wane, but I was not ready to give up on my sweet mistress Destiny at this point, because right as my hope was starting to fizzle out, Vault of Glass, the first raid, finally something we can get in there and we can do, and it's going to be incredible. Now, the Vault of Glass. So the thing about raiding is you're only as good as your party. Now, because I know all my friends are going to watch this, you guys are awesome. Thank you for going through that with us. Alex, I am eternally sorry for dragging you through that because I know you were miserable. But the thing is, there's no looking for raid. You literally do have to beg your friends, even those who hate raiding, to go with you. If they're nice, they will. But if you don't have 6 gung-ho friends who are ready to dive into a raid, sorry, pal. You don't get to experience endgame content. That's kind of crappy. Because we did end up going through the raid.
We did.
We beat it one time.
Unfortunately for Alex and Scott and everyone who had me kind of as a raid leader, because I tried to play a cheerleader role because they're not my group of friends. I was kind of pulled in. And so it's like, I kind of like tried not to let, my natural raiding instincts kick in. But I do know, like, unfortunately for them, like, they got a little bit of it. I could tell they were kind of like...
Yeah, they got some of it from me, too.
And I want to apologize to them publicly. I'm sorry. It's just... That's how I raid. It's like, these poor guys are like...
Well, see, that's the thing, that's how anybody who raids. I mean, there's only so much margin for error, and it's like, the mechanics, that there is no deviating from the strategy. You deviate from the strategy, it's a party wipe, it's not forgiving. And so it's like, I know what you mean, because it's like, I was even finding myself, like, cut the shit, we gotta get down here and do this. Stop running up, and then bless his soul, Ray is trying to have fun, Scott's trying to have fun, everyone's trying to have fun, and it's just like, guys,
we're the joy kills, to be fair to everyone else. It is us.
We were the ones killing it.
We were ruining the experience because they're like, we had fun, let's stop. We're done because we've had our fun. It's starting not to be fun. To me, the fun is the grind. It's the push through in the death.
It's the overcoming the challenge.
The loot. It's like, that loot needs to be got, because if I leave without the loot, I didn't have fun.
Then all is for naught. Exactly.
So these 4 amazing people were just putting up with me and be like, again, again, over and over and over again. Because I just was like, no, you don't stop. Like, no, I really want to stop.
Nope. I know.
So they're total sweethearts.
They are.
The people that played with us.
Alex, Christian, Scott, Mike, I know you didn't raid with us, but even you two, love you guys. You're awesome. Thank you for destining with me and putting up with Beth and I's raid shenanigans.
Now, I have to say, he made it a lot farther than I did in the story, because there's a very special cutscene, and I say special with the biggest air quotes I've ever used. And in this cutscene, the robot that he talks to, you're like, well, why don't you lay the story on me? You actually are so desperate for story. Your character asks for exposition. The entire response that this character gives you is, I am so busy, or something like that. I don't have time. Oh no, it's like, I have so little time, I don't even have time to explain to you what to do.
No, it's like I don't even have enough time to explain why I don't have enough time.
Yeah, that's it. I don't have enough time to explain why I don't have enough time. And it perfectly encapsulated the entire story, because it tells you nothing. It does nothing with itself, to the point it's like, well, why are we even here? Because outside the opening cutscene, it's just keep doing this. And there's little, about 30-second dialogues in these long-ass load times that don't even go throughout the whole load times, like, most of the time. And it's like, to be told when you're so little, you're so story deficient, you have to actually have your PC big for story content, to be like, no, I don't think so. It's like, are you kidding me? I remember getting that. I was like, Tim, you can't justify this. And he's like, it'll come later.
Yeah,
you know what, Tim? It never came later.
I thought it would, okay? What you're using against me right now is the like, dude, you knew she was a bitch, but it's like, I was in love, man. I had the blinders on. I was in love with Destiny, okay?
I get that, but even still, it's like, how, when they say that line, it is such an F-U.
There was no saving that writing. No, there wasn't. So the thing about Destiny is all of the story you really get is essentially in the cutscene before the game even starts. You know, the Traveler came. It changed mankind. A darkness followed it. Things are trying to get it and rip it apart and, you know, wipe out mankind. That's pretty much the story of the game. The campaign gives you almost nothing else on top of that except for you going on a few missions to retrieve some artifacts and stop the darkness, which you don't even actually stop really necessarily, because now there's extra content going after. So it's even for naught at that point. But I understand that that's any MMO. You get to the end of the story now, and that's it. Everything's good and peachy until the next expansion comes out, and then bad stuff starts happening again. So I'm not even going to really hold that against it, other than the thing that makes a good MMO is content and lore. And even if you don't like the lore or pay attention to the lore, it has to be there, because you at least have to have some idea of why what you're doing carries any semblance of importance whatsoever. And if you don't even have the slightest idea of that, then you're essentially just on a grind fest, which is what Destiny turned into. It turned into a monotonous, boring, repetitive grind fest that didn't have the world that it needed to stay interesting. It didn't have NPCs to make it interesting, like it didn't. I mean, there aren't really NPCs in Destiny. There are merchants. There's the speaker who you talk to in two or three cutscenes throughout the whole game, but that's it, really. And the only NPC that you ever really interact with in Destiny is your ghost.
She doesn't have time for you because she's bouncing.
Yeah, is your ghost. And the ghost is really not even like an NPC so much as just a tool that you use, and it talks to you and tells you really obvious shit like, oh, there's bad guys. Thanks, I can see that. So it really, 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 really fell flat on its face.
So let me say something positive. One of the largest, hallmarks of Bungie fans and of Bungie games is, especially, they've talked about it, their lead designers have talked about it, the 10 seconds of fun. The shooting mechanics. Everyone will say Bungie has some of the best moment-to-moment gameplay in an FPS. And you know what? I'm not even going to contest this. However, they somehow were able to flush down their entire philosophy when they introduced the wave system. It's very similar to what we saw happen with Dragon Age 2, where there's just waves, and it's like, it just keeps going. And it's like, your 10 seconds of fun becomes not fun when you're just throwing this over, and it's like, there's no break, there's no pacing, and it's really poorly designed. And then as you continue to move up, it's not the enemies become stronger or smarter and, like, you know, flank you and everything. They just get ridiculous amounts of HP.
Yeah, they become health sponges.
It becomes literally a sponge and a grind to get through them. The last or the first raid boss and most of the bosses in the dungeons, it's not because they do high damage. It's not because they outflank you. It is literally because it lasts so long, you end up making a mistake. This isn't a 2 to 3 minute battle. Especially the Nightfalls, which is their hardcore dungeoning system.
The Nightfall strikes, yep.
There was one boss, it was the PlayStation exclusive guy, he carries around a chain gun. And it was like, we ended up having to use a system where we had to let the other one die every once in a while and then revive them, because I was essentially useless because I didn't have any of the infinite ammo weapons. So it was like, I could run out and save you and use a shield for revive, but at the end I was pretty much completely out of ammo because this guy had so much life. And it was like, I didn't die because I made a mistake. I died because I was bored and I was trying to entertain myself in what should be an epic, intense boss fight. And
Destiny literally bored you to death.
I hate to say this because he was so excited, but that was such the entire experience for me. Because it was like, there wasn't, like, even the rating system, the Templar fight perfectly captures this for me. Because it's like, in order to best do this, or at least our best system was, you have each person take a lane, and then you end up, you know, so you don't have people, like, being overwhelmed. But it's like, they don't come out in fast enough waves or in strong enough waves. It's just like, me and one other guy take the right side, and we kill them, and then we wait for everyone to spawn, and then we kill them some more. It's like, so many waves, and so many fights came down to just throwing waves at you.
Destiny's entire dungeon mechanic is endurance. That's all it is.
It's not good in Dragon Age. It's not good in Destiny. Yeah. No one can make the system fun. And this is another lesson that comes from MMOs. So in MMOs, you have your dungeons, and you have your heroic dungeons, and you have your raids, and then you have your different tiers of difficulty and set raids. The thing about it is, when you change the difficulty of that dungeon, you introduce wonderful new things that almost make it a new experience. One, you include different bosses or additional bosses. You include brand new mechanics to the existing bosses. You know, they have additional moves now. They have debuffs that they cast. You know, it makes each tier of difficulty isn't just making it harder, it's making it different and harder. Destiny does not do this. And what Destiny does is it takes a strike, which is, you know, you go in, you do it real fast, it's like a mission. Then it takes a Nightfall strike, which is the exact same thing. No new mechanics. The only difference is now you take more damage and they take more damage. So they take forever to kill, and you get killed in like 3 shots. You technically take less damage because you die fast, or you take more damage from their bullets, and they take less damage.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. That's what I meant. I meant you take more, not as in you absorb it, but you take more. Like, one bullet takes away 3/4 of your health. That's what I mean.
They take far less damage. Or it's not even they take less damage, but
their HP just goes so high
by such huge degrees. That's like, you can normally, in a normal mission, hit someone with a sniper rifle round in the head. And when you do that, you expect them to die. You know, boss, not so much. But it's like, you got a powered up weapon, you still feel like 12, 15 sniper rifle rounds, it's gonna drop someone. No. You got 3 guys constantly
headshotting a guy
over and over and over again for minutes.
And you may as well be hitting with spit wads.
This isn't like a turn-based game where it's like, at least you have the reasoning that you're waiting your turn. It's an FPS. You're constantly active. You're constantly unloading, so to speak. I mean, it's to the point where you hit this person or this being with so many rounds, like, you could literally replace every inch of their body with a bullet. Because you've hit them with so many. They have no flesh
You
left.
hit them with a mass of bullets greater than their mass.
Exactly. It's like they have no body mass left because they're all bullets at that point. But they're still going. And they don't stop.
Beth is very passionate right now.
But it's the truth, and it was. And I remember when we did our first Nightfall, because Tim was. I think this is where it was crashing down around him.
It's like my Destiny love was crumbling around
his
me.
entire outlook on life was slowly eroding beneath his feet, and he's like, "Okay, I know we've had a rough patch. The game isn't exactly what I thought it was going to be, but the Nightfalls where it's at, the challenge, the enjoyment, we're finally going to achieve what I promised we would, what we set out for when we did this." We completed our first Nightfall, and he actually did one before me, and that's how I knew he was lying, and he didn't honestly believe it, because he later told me about what happened during that first Nightfall, where he had to cheese it to him, so it was so boring and monotonous. And he's like, with an actual group, with someone that could coordinate, and God bless Ray's soul, but Ray, you do a dog and pony show like no one ever. You're great. You're far better at this game than I will ever be, and I'll say that hands down. But when we say don't run out, please, for the love of God, hang back just once. And it's like, the only reason I won was because of Ray, because he is very good at the game. But even still, it's like, you have 3 players that are good, that are high level gear, and we're still just, and by the end of it, I'm like, so it's like, well, we should do another one next week. And it's like, no, I'm done. And I uninstalled it. I never played it again. And I was like,
I tried. I stuck around. I tried to level up some of my exotic weapons. And, you know, it just burnt and fizzled out. And before I knew it, I was looking at Destiny like, you betrayed me. You absolutely betrayed me. Everything I spoke so highly of, it was just like a facade. Like, there are good things about Destiny, but they're so underdeveloped and underutilized and overshadowed by the game's blatant flaws that it just kills it. I
want to say something that's going to be a little bit weird for me, because I don't, when I first started this video, I said I don't like Bungie and I don't like shooters, and I don't. But every good aspect of Destiny has an equal and opposite negative, because every good aspect of it is actually canceled out by something it's supposed to enhance it. Like the gameplay, the gunplay is great, but it's like the waves, it's like that should increase the enjoyment because you're now fighting more, but it actually becomes monotonous, so it actually takes that gameplay away. It's like the open worldness, well, that's great.
Except for it's really not even open world.
But it's not. When you start doing the missions, you're just going through the same areas, you're just going deeper into it, but you still got to traverse that, so it's not even really open. So every positive it has, like as a box blurb or a bullet point, it's actually, those bullet points undo themselves, and it's just so aggravating.
Everything it does to build itself up, it also destroys simultaneously.
It really does.
I never thought I'd say this about a game, because just a couple videos ago when we were talking about Resident Evil Revelations, I told you, I looked you in the eye and I told you, I will never appreciate a game for multiplayer alone. It has to have a solid campaign.
You did say this.
In the end, the best thing about Destiny was its multiplayer.
It really was, because the multiplayer was almost non-existent.
Yeah, the multiplayer was actually fast-paced. There was a good diversity to it. Your teams were always balanced because it was totally random. I mean, you did get some clans in there that were a pain in the ass to kill, but you know, you could sort of pull that back with them. I'm just not a socialite who likes to form clans with elitists online. That's just not how I roll. So But I still had fun with it. I mean, multiplayer was probably the most fun I had with Destiny because it was so reminiscent of Halo multiplayer, except for you got to bring in your own arsenal. And that's the other thing. I think in the end, after my whole Destiny experience, the two things I appreciate the most about it are the exotic weapons and the multiplayer. The exotic weapons were fun because each one was really different and very unique. They weren't easy to get, so you actually felt like you earned something when you got one. You had the ability to power them up, and they all had gimmicks to them. And those gimmicks made them unique and kind of fun and cool as they were. And no two were exactly alike. They were very, very neat that way. And you could take those into multiplayer if you wanted. It wasn't like other multiplayers where you go and there's like a loadout you have to pick from. You got to bring your loadout with you. I mean, there was damage adjustment algorithms to sort of bring everybody on the same playing field in terms of damage output, but your weapon still had its gimmicks. If it regenerated ammo, it still regenerated ammo even in multiplayer. If it did extra fire damage, it still did extra fire damage in multiplayer. All it did was take your like level 19 guys and your level 2 guys and just go, all right, now you guys are essentially on the same field just with gimmicks on your side to help you. And so it was like, I really think the multiplayer was the strongest part of Destiny, but that wasn't supposed to be the strongest part of Destiny.
And see, what I'm going to say is, unfortunately for Tim, the biggest weak link to Destiny was what he used to sell me on it was the MMO aspects.
Yeah.
The greatest part of MMOs is, for me, is one, the rating, and also the character. You find a character class, you find a build, and it's you. It fits you. For World of Warcraft, that was a Frost Death Knight for me. I loved my class. I played it. I was a DK, and it's how I loved it. Destiny actually doesn't have that.
No, you get three choices.
They say you have 3 options with subclass. You really don't.
You have 3 options.
You have 3 special moves that change, but your moment-to-moment gameplay is identical regardless of class. Because the only difference is your special move. And that's it.
Yeah,
so it's like, I had no class to build that really made me feel like it was a unique special class. The raid was...
It was gratifying to get through.
It was, but that was because we had such a great group that were willing to put up with us. The content wasn't special. The layout was horrific. Every MMO aspect of the game was so undercooked, it undermined it itself. And when you're being sold on it, coming from the MMO player perspective, it was like, by the end, it was like I had been assaulted by my best friends. Like, why did you put me up to this? Why did we keep going? Because it's like, there's one element of our friendship that neither of us ever understand. It's like, every once in a while, something comes along, and we will love it. And it will resonate with us. And the other one does not understand it. Recently, for me, I fell in love with Katy Perry's Circle the Drain.
Oh my
While
God.
This is a
you had to bring this up in the video? Okay.
It makes sense. It's like, he is convinced I'm going to wake up one day and like, this song is actually really mediocre. There's nothing good about it.
Mediocre.
It's like, he believes that one day I really will.
But you'll come to your senses.
This is true. It's like, he truly thinks that one day I'm going to be like, Circle the Drain isn't good. It's never going to happen. It resonates with me. But the thing is, this is what I did with Destiny, with him, and it took so long.
Yes, but I did wake up. I did wake up and was like, whoa, how did I end up in bed with this? Because it was, I did. I came around. Destiny let me down too. It's not like it just let you down and then eventually I was like, okay, I was wrong. It devastated me as much as it hurt you, okay? Because I wanted it to be everything I expected it to be. So, yes, Destiny. All right, we talked about story. We covered the gameplay.
By the way,
no good characters to talk about.
I am horrifically awful at multiplayer. We have a story we could tell you that would make you believe that she, as in me, is the worst multiplayer person on the planet, and you'd probably be right. So I can't even say that the multiplayer was gone.
We're saving that story for the Resident Evil retrospective.
Because it was so... I can't play it, so the multiplayer wasn't even good for me.
No, it really
So there was... nothing but the group of people we played with. That was an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, because you didn't really get any, like, you only got like one exotic weapon, didn't you? So you didn't really get to play around with the different exotics.
No, I just got the one, and then you can only have a single piece of exotic gear on. So it's like the gear grind. I'm like,
yeah, that's like playing,
I can't even
that's like playing WoW,
grind.
and you're like, you can only wear one like epic piece of armor. That's it. It's like, what? Why? So yeah, I know that was kind of stupid, and I don't know why they did that.
And okay, now it should be said, the reason why we are covering this game this week, to be fair, is yes, it's kind of hateful, but we are going back into it with the new expansion. We're going to give it a fresh look, and there have been times where we both hated on a game, went back and be like, you know what, we were wrong, and we do hope it is. On top of that, we're doing it very specifically because a viewer asked, and as such, they will be joining us as a special guest reviewer.
That's right.
For the expansion. So look forward to Tim, myself, and a good friend of ours named Christian to join us in a review.
This isn't going to be for a few weeks, though.
Next week or anything. But in the near future, the three of us will be covering the new expansion for Destiny.
That's right. And Christian, if you see this video, you've been brought in by name. You can't flake out on us, bro. You are going to play this expansion, and you are going to be in this video. So keep that in mind. So anyway, retroactively, we're going to go back in time and pretend this is September 15th and we're actually reviewing Destiny. So, all right, everything we just said, take that into account. My overall rating of Destiny, a generous 2 stars. I'm sorry, but that's just the truth.
The fact is, I don't like multiplayer. I'm awful at multiplayer, and I raid, and I didn't find a raid group, and when I was in the raid, I am constantly thinking about layouts, strategies, positive. I look for positives even when
there were mechanics. There were.
Having a mechanic doesn't make something good, is my point.
Okay. What I'm saying is it was unique for Destiny. There was no mechanics anywhere in that game.
That's what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, even the raid content, even on, a theoretical level, just mind game level, it wasn't enjoyable. So it's like, at best, the 10 seconds of gameplay, they're still right. They are probably still best gun handlers in the game. But when you combine waves, multiplayer, and awful raid content, and no story content, I give it a 1.5. And easily the worst game we have covered on this channel.
Granted, it was very retroactive, and again, only to lay the ground for an upcoming video, but it needed to be done. So, Destiny, hopefully you get better, kid, because ouch.
He wants it to. He wants to be won over. He does.
I really it really sort of killed part of me when I reinstalled it on my PS4.
Okay,
I was like, I never thought I was going back.
To actually win him over.
I want Bungie to write me like an apology and be like, Tim, you've been a lifelong fan. We know we let you down, and we're sincerely sorry. I know that'll never happen, though. So anyway, going to play the newest DLC here in a little while. We're going to so keep an eye out for that. Feel free to leave your comments below. We'd love to hear what you think of Destiny. Please don't hold back. You think we're crazy and it's the best game you've ever played? Please tell us. I want to hear, and I will challenge you too, my friend. So just be warned. I will ask you questions. So, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe. We upload new content every single Sunday. And, also one thing to our viewers, we are going to be starting to do some Twitch streams here in the near future. We've created a channel. I'm going to go ahead and put a link to that channel below in the description. So feel free to put us in your channel list on Twitch and check us out. We'll announce over Facebook and Twitter when we're going to do some of those Let's Plays. And so stay tuned for more information there. So this was Different Beat. I'm Tim.
And right before I exit,
what?
I should say that our upcoming...
You totally killed my jive right there.
You did say our next review.
I was going to have it be mysterious.
Since when do we do that?
Okay, so I forgot. Big deal. Tell him.
Okay, the next review that we will actually be publishing will likely be Splatoon. We are also currently having the works reviews for The Witcher 3, although anyone who's playing it knows how massive it is.
It's massive.
And how dense that game is. We also
And unfortunately, as two people who have jobs, we can't devote 8 hours a day to playing the game. So we're going to be a little behind IGN and game trailers and all those guys. They'll have reviews not long before us. But we'd still like if you came back and checked out ours in a few more weeks.
And lastly, we have gotten a couple special requests for reviews. We will be covering Metal Gear Solid 1. And for purists, it will
Retro.
be the PlayStation 1 version of the game.
Back when it was just amazing. God, I loved Metal Gear Solid 1.
Agreed. So that is coming down the pipe as well. One thing that we are always open to are retro reviews, because we have been in around the game industry for such a long time. So we have, played them as we continue to evolve and grow. So if there are any other retrospectives, retro reviews, or older content or requests of any kind, please shoot them our way. We are happy to go ahead and do it, because if anything, it's like, well, we love these anyways, so it's a break from
It's a break from some of the not so great stuff.
So again, we're Different Beat, Tim, and my name is Elizabeth.
Yeah, you get to do it. Fine.
Okay, fine. Restart.
No, it's just getting awkward. All right, thanks everybody for tuning in.
Take care and have a lovely weekend.
Good night.